blessed to have the gospel to just lift us right back up every time. I don't know, that's just on my mind really heavily. Like, wow. What would we do? What would we do without the gospel? Without repentance and without having the scriptures in front of us to lead us in like a very secure direction. All we have to do is hold strong to the iron rod, man. And just be in tune with the Spirit. That's all we need to do. But that was random, but I felt like I should say that. Jacob 5 is a great chapter. Today we have about 23 minutes to finish this chapter, which means we probably got to get reading because we're about halfway through. So, all right, we are on verse 37. Some great insights come about because of these verses. So let's get reading. Verse 37 says, "But behold, the wild branches have grown and have overrun the roots thereof. And because that the wild branches have overcome the roots thereof, it hath brought forth much evil fruit. And because it hath brought forth so much evil fruit, thou beholdest that it beginneth to perish, and it will soon become ripened, and it may be cast into the fire, except we should do something for it to preserve." Oh my gosh. I don't really need to go into details, but that verse is like so perfect for like what just happened in my life. "And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard said unto his servant, Let us go down into the nethermost parts of the vineyard. And behold, if the natural branches have also brought forth evil fruit. And it came to pass that they went down into the nethermost parts of the vineyard, and it came to pass that they beheld the fruit of the natural branches had become corrupt also, yea, the first and second, and also the last, and they had all become corrupt. And the wild fruit of the last had overcome that part of the tree which brought forth good fruit, even that the branches had withered away and died. And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard wept and said unto the servant, What could I have done more for my vineyard? Behold, I knew that all the fruit of the vineyard, save it were these, had become corrupted. And now these which have once brought forth good fruit have also become corrupted. And now the trees of the vineyard are good for nothing, save it be to be hewn down and cast into the fire. And behold, this last, whose branches hath withered away, I did plant in a good spot of the ground, yea, even that which was choice unto me above all other parts of the land of my vineyard. And thou beheldest that I also cut down that which cumbered this spot of the ground, that I might plant this tree in the stead thereof. And thou beheldest that a part thereof brought forth good fruit, and a part thereof brought forth wild fruit. And because I plucked not the branches thereof, and cast them into the fire, behold, they have become the good branch that hath withered away. And now behold, notwithstanding all the care which we have taken of my vineyard, the trees thereof have become corrupted, that they bring forth no good fruit. And these I had hoped to preserve, to have laid up fruit against the season unto mine own self. But behold, they have become like unto the wild olive tree, and they are of no worth unto me. And they are of no worth, but to be hewn down and cast into the fire, and it grieveth me that I should lose them. But what have I done more in my vineyard? Have I slaughtered just understanding that it's been a while since I read all of these verses, and I don't know if that's the Lord talking right now or if it's a servant of the Lord of the Vineyard, but kind of just talking about how much work and effort we've put into this vineyard and all the trees, and hoping they can yield good fruit, and they somehow aren't yielding good fruit. And he's like, man, what is going on? Like, I feel like I've been doing all that I can, and they are just yielding wild or evil fruit. Who has corrupted my vineyard? I think that's kind of like so far what we're reading. Yeah. Verse 48. Let's see what follows after that idea. And it came to pass that the servant said to his master, "It is not the loftiness of thy vineyard. Have not the branches thereof overcome the roots which are good? And because of the branches have overcome the roots thereof, behold, they grew faster than the strength of the roots, taking strength unto themselves. Behold, I say, is not this the cause that the trees of thy vineyard have become corrupted?" So he's saying the branches have overcome the roots. Oh wow, that's interesting. Before I keep reading, I'm going to kind of theorize here. I mean, I think we talk about roots as like the foundational appendages of our life that need to be, actually appendages is probably not the right word, like the foundational, it's like the rock that's like unmovable, and that should be the source of like an anchor that pulls you back to your standards. Anytime there's any like gray area or a question mark or like temptation, you remember where your rock is, and you kind of make your decision based on that. And you also have like superficial aspects of your personality, like things that are changeable, things that are not foundational, and they can be good, right? They can be bad too, which I think are like the branches that are kind of sprouting out of your roots. People can be really kind. They can also be really like quick to anger and like have a temper, and that's not good. They could be really like good at guitar, or be like have like an interest in like home design, or they could also have like bad intentions and like try to swindle people and stuff like that. And those are all like the superficial things that they're not like rooted. They're not the foundational aspects of someone. They're branches. They're like sprouting off out of whatever the foundation is. And what's going on here in the verse is like the branches have become more powerful than the roots. And what I'm thinking there is like these superficial aspects of a personality, let's say in a human, are becoming so powerful that they are the desire now. Like the natural man, pretty much, like the temporary things are overpowering the eternal things. And because of that, they'll start to yield evil fruit or wild fruit that are unpredictable. But if you focus on not the branches, you focus on the roots and like the foundation of your life, then naturally things will be brought about that are good. I think we talked a little bit about that yesterday, in the sense of like working hard for a long, long time might yield is like more likely to yield lasting success than any other means. I hope some of that made sense. I don't know, I just think that like the roots are where we should focus branches, then we might get like temporary results, but they're gonna go away and become wild. And then if we allow the wild to overcome us as well, or be more important than the roots, then they'll start to become evil, and we'll start to indulge in the natural man more and more. So, I mean, that at least makes sense to me. Maybe that doesn't make any sense to you, but I think that's kind of like a little bit about what it's saying here. Okay, let's keep reading. We're in verse 49. Well, let me just read that last part of that verse. So it says, "And because the branches have overcome the roots thereof, behold, they grew faster than the strength of the roots, taking strength unto themselves. Behold, I say, is this not the cause that the trees of the vineyard have become corrupted? And it came to pass, the Lord of the vineyard said unto the servant, Let us go to and hew down the trees of the vineyard and cast them in the fire, that they should not cover the ground of my vineyard. For I have done all. What could I have done more for my vineyard?" Interesting. "But behold, the servant said unto the Lord of the vineyard, Spare it a little longer. The Lord said, Yea, I will spare it a little longer, for it grieveth me that I should lose the trees of my vineyard. Wherefore, let us take of the branches of these which I have planted in the nethermost regions, in the nethermost parts of my vineyard, and let us graft them into the tree from whence they came, and let us pluck from the trees whose branches, those branches whose fruit is most bitter, and graft in the natural branches of the tree in the stead thereof." Okay, so he's saying, take the branches from like what remains of the natural fruit or the natural trees, and graft them into the most bitter sections of the vineyard. And this will I do, that the tree may not perish, that perhaps I may preserve unto myself the roots thereof for mine own purpose. And behold, the roots of the natural branches of the tree which I planted whithersoever I would are yet alive. Wherefore, that I may preserve them also for mine own purpose, I will take of the branches of this tree, and I will graft them to the fire. Yea, I will graft them unto the branches of their mother tree, that I may preserve the roots also unto mine own self, that when they shall be sufficiently strong, perhaps they might bring forth good fruit unto me, and I may yet have glory in the fruit of my vineyard. And it came to pass that they took from the natural tree which had become wild, and grafted into the natural trees which had also become wild. Wait, that's like kind of tricky. Okay. And they also took of the natural trees which had become wild, and grafted into their mother tree. And the Lord of the vineyard said unto the servant, Pluck not the wild branches from the trees, save it be those that are most bitter. And in them ye shall graft according to that which I have said. And we will nourish again the trees of the vineyard, and we will trim up the branches thereof. And we will pluck from the trees whose branches, which are ripened, that must perish, and cast them into the fire. And this I do, that perhaps the roots thereof may take strength because of their goodness, and because of the change of my branches, that the good may overcome the evil. And because that I have preserved the natural branches and the roots thereof, and that I have grafted into the natural branches again I would say the most joyous result that could have been, is yielded, or I don't know, that could have been yielded. So that's just some thoughts there about what the natural fruit is, and just like what we should all be shooting for. Okay, we still have like a lot of reading. I think this has 75 or something verses. Okay, like 15 more verses or so. Wherefore let us go to and labor with our might this last time, for behold, the end draweth nigh. And this is for the last time that I shall prune my vineyard. Graft in the branches, begin at the last, that they may be first, and the first may be last, and dig about the trees, both old and young, the first and the last, and the last and the first, that all may be nourished once again for the last time. Wherefore dig about them, and prune them, and dung them once more for the last time, for the end draweth nigh. And if it so be that these last grass shall grow, and bring forth the natural fruit, then shall ye prepare the way for them, that they may grow. And as they begin to grow, ye shall clear away the branches which bring forth bitter fruit, according to the strength of the good, and the size thereof. And ye shall not clear away the bad thereof all at once, lest the roots thereof should be too strong for the graft, and the graft. Oh wow, that's really interesting. Ye shall not clear away the bad thereof all at once, lest the roots thereof shall be too strong for the graft, and the graft thereof shall perish. And I lose the trees of my vineyard. Wow, that's really interesting. It's kind of just talking about the need for opposition, or at least the need for like failure. A little bit of failure is good, in that you can recognize success. Okay, I highlighted that because that was pretty profound, low-key. For it grieveth me that I should lose the trees of my vineyard. Wherefore ye shall clear away the bad according to the good, or according as the good shall grow, that the root and the top may be equal in strength, unto the good shall overcome the bad. And the bad shall be hewn down and cast into the fire, that they cumber not the ground of my vineyard. And thus will I sweep away the bad out of the vineyard. And the branches of the natural tree which will I graft in again into the natural tree. And the branches of the natural tree will I graft into the natural branches of the tree. And thus will I bring them together again, that they shall bring forth the natural fruit, and they shall be one. And the bad shall be cast away, yea, even out of the land of my vineyard. For behold, only this once will I prune my vineyard. And it came to pass that the Lord of the vineyard sent his servant, and the servant went and did as the Lord had commanded him, and brought other servants, and they were few. And the Lord of the vineyard said unto them, Go to and labor in the vineyard with your might. For behold, this is the last time that I shall nourish my vineyard. For the end is nigh at hand, and the season speedily cometh. And if ye labor with your might with me, ye shall have joy in the fruit which I shall lay up unto myself against the time which shall soon come. And it came to pass that the servants did go and labor with their mights. And the Lord of the vineyard labored also with them, and they did obey the commandments of the Lord of the vineyard in all things. And there began to be the natural fruit again in the vineyard, and the natural branches began to grow and thrive exceedingly, and the wild branches began to be plucked off and to be cast away, and they did keep the root and the top thereof equal according to the strength thereof. Wow, that's also interesting there. And thus they labored with all diligence according to the commandments of the Lord of the vineyard, even until the bad had been cast away from the vineyard, and the Lord had preserved unto himself that the trees had become again the natural fruit, and they became like unto one body, and the fruits were equal. And the Lord of the vineyard had preserved unto himself the natural fruit, which was most precious unto him from the beginning. There's a when the time cometh that evil fruit shall again come into my vineyard, then will I cause the good and the bad to be gathered, and the good will I preserve unto myself, and the bad will I cast away into its own place. And then cometh the season to the end, and my vineyard will I cause to be burned with fire. And that's the end of Jacob, chapter 5. Holy cow, that was a lot, actually. That was a lot of reading, but it was really good. I love Jacob chapters. I love allegories. I love parables. I love the way the Savior taught, where you can pull them apart. Lots of meaning from one thing. And kind of apply it to yourself in your own way. So I hope that you were able to do that today as we read Jacob together, or Jacob 5 together. That you learned something new or felt some good prompts